What is up, wrestling fans? It is that time of the week for the FLZ Wrestling Team to talk all things professional wrestling and call it right down the middle. That's right, it's time for this week's edition of 607 TWS, The Wrestling Show, powered by FanlightZone.com. And of course, I am your host, Rich, and joining me in the co-pilot chair, she does each and every week, she is the hunter of the Pokemans because she's got to catch them all. She is the connoisseur, guru of cosplay, and of course, the connoisseur of pro grappling. She is also the first lady of Fanlight Zone. It is the one and only Miss Sammy. How are you this week?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing this week?
I am doing fantastic. I thought you were going to cosplay when you came out here. We haven't seen that in a while. Since you did,
I'll bring it back next week. I'll bring it back next week.
I'll bring it back next week. Of course, this would have been on topic for Danhausen because, ladies and gentlemen, the other person joining us, sitting in the other co-pilot's chair, he is the host of the Ocho Duro Power Hour podcast, better known as the ODPH. He is the editor-in-chief as well as the CEO of FanlightZone.com, and most importantly, he is a diehard New York Knicks fan. The curse is over. Knicks in 5. It is Kadem.
What a glorious day we woke up to this morning, folks. It's been orange and blue skies everywhere. A sense of peace and calm has been restored to the universe. And what better way to cap it off as we go to Game 5 of the NBA Finals after one of the most historic comebacks of all time than swinging over to FanlightZone.com. Check out all the amazing reviews the team did this week. Nobody does New Comic Book Day quite like Fanlight Zone. Over 40 reviews. And still more on the way because there's a few peek behind the curtain. Some things dropping this weekend we can't really talk about, but that's why I want to make sure that you're following us on all social media accounts so you don't miss a minute of your new home of comics pop culture.
There you go. There he goes. There's the intro. I dig it. By the way, sorry, a little late, little technical difficulties.
Well, when you're caught up in the moment of the game that happened, and we are all big New York Knicks fans here, this is kind of like, we're so caught up in the moment, Freudian slips happen, we're hitting wrong buttons, we're kind of checking the wrong things, but fear not, because we're still going to bring to you the pro wrestling talk that that only 607 TWS can bring.
I thought we were talking about the Knicks tonight.
Well, we can make it all about Knicks talk. Like you're not going to hurt me and my feelings.
I mean, that's tied to wrestling. Danhausen is a Knicks.
Are we doing this? Are we going to talk Knicks? This is what we're doing?
No, we just did. I mean, I mean, I guess the limit of it will be that Knicks in 5. I know it was Knicks in 4. Now it's Knicks in 5. Hopefully, Knicks in 5.
No, Knicks in 5.
I believe.
Lock it in.
I believe in the Knicks. There you go. So that's the limit we'll talk about. Yeah, Joe Hendry also believes in the Knicks. Everybody at this point. Taylor Swift believes in the Knicks. There you go. Just throwing it out there. And when has Tay-Tay ever been wrong?
This is true. This is true.
When? Never is the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Except for maybe her choice of men. I'm just throwing it out there. And that's only because I'm a Raiders fan. I'm not saying I'm a Raiders fan. He's a Kansas City Chief. I can't, and I listen, I also prefer his brother. I'm a big Yeti guy. Let's just throw it out there. That's different sports talk for a different day. Maybe sometime we'll have Fanlight Zone Sports and we'll talk all that junk about it. It's pop culture. It might come when we have more bandwidth, but until then, hey, it's time to talk some pro wrestling because that's what you came here to listen to. That's what it says on the marquee. And unlike some other places, we don't like to forget that on the marquee it says wrestling. So we are going to talk some pro wrestling. And we just talked about how it's been a great week. It's been a great week for the New York Knicks for the most part. It's been a great week for Fanlight Zone and FanlightZone.com. It's been a great week, or at least a good week for us. Mm-hmm. But who's had kind of, I don't want to say they've had a rough week because I'm sure he's had a perfectly fine and great week, but his name has had a rough week, and that is CM Punk.
Yeah.
Let's start off there. Wow. A slow news cycle week is what causes a lot of this. I just want to throw that out there right up in the front. But, whoa, Sammy, have you been paying attention to the CM Punk rumor mill cycle here? First we hear that he's very unhappy in World Wrestling Entertainment. Then we hear that he's allegedly something in his marriage, which I think is should be off limits to, the dirt sheets anyways. And then we hear even something about him leaving WWE. And then we all find out it's bullshit, which we knew anyways. But how is it CM Punk, granted, I did say this last week on the show, was the guy who in the promo cut, hey, I'm Roman Reigns isn't going to be here, but I am.
Mm.
And Roman Reigns has been there and Punk hasn't. Granted, the man deserves some time off. Granted, he is, 46 years old. So it's probably a good idea to take a break. But you can't cut that promo and then disappear. And I think that's now led to fans on a slow week, or media personalities on a slow week, speculating.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy, what are your thoughts on this whole CM Punk rumor mill that went over the last week?
Well, let's start with the rumor mill itself. Wow, people are really bored out there. I mean, CM Punk has been like the good soldier since he's come back to WWE, and it's been a very mutual beneficial relationship between the two of them. He's elevated his stock. WWE has not really done the best overall, but the stuff they've done with him has been incredibly good. So like that kind of works out. The promo's tough because he did say he was, he's the one that's always going to be there, blah, blah, blah. But on the flip side, if you go back and you look at the history of CM Punk, what was one of the big things that led him to have his break with the company? It was overbooking, overuse. It was overexposure. That's something he talked very highly about. So to take the time off, I mean, where do you go after that story he told with Roman? Like, really, will you show up the next night and you start feuding with Braun Breaker or something? Like, it kind of needed that room to breathe. Saying what he said does make it a little unfortunate, but I mean, at the end of the day, he's being advertised for other stuff. There's talk that there's new merch in the works, and he did do that small promo with Cody, and that's probably a great place to go because Cody Rhodes' title run, each one has been kind of lackluster at times, and a feud with Punk might be what it needs to really make Cody Rhodes feel like a really special champion again.
Kanem, your thoughts about these rumors and where you stand?
Okay, so this is my take on this. He came out the night after WrestleMania and cut that promo alluding to Money in the Bank, and then he disappeared. And I think because, unfortunately, due to the creative bankruptcy that we have talked about numerous times here on 607 TWS, that fans are desperate for him to come back, because when he's on camera, you give him a microphone, it's ratings, it's excitement, it is everything that you expect from the best in the world. Since he's not there, let's face it, without a few key moments here and there, WWE programming has been very, very stale. And I think fans are desperate to get him back. And when they don't understand that business side of things, they're just jumping to wild conclusions. And it's just, as we kind of say, let the story play out. Because ever since he was alluding to Money in the Bank, I was not expecting to see him come back. And it was nice to see some angles get some time on air. Have they all worked out? No, but that's the business. So I say I'm just waiting with bated breath till we get around Money in the Bank. I fully expect to see him back there. Will he win? I don't know, but it doesn't matter because at least they're going to stack that card. And especially if he comes back and he announces he's in, there's going to be a buzz about it. And then all the rumors can just, go up in smoke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I look at it like this two ways. First and foremost, I think that it was a slow news cycle week, so he had to figure out something. He's not around. He's not talking to the press. He's not talking to anybody because, he just probably wants to be left alone and on vacation since he's not doing anything currently. And so it's easy to be like, oh, X, Y, and Z. He's not in the King of the Ring tournament, X, Y, and Z. He's not in this. Once again, Ken pointed out, he alluded to the fact that Money in the Bank. Mm-hmm. We all took that as, if a title opportunity falls onto my lap, where else is it going to possibly fall onto you than Money in the Bank? And so it's kind of like, it makes sense. They set something up for him and Cody, which I'm assuming that's where they'll go eventually. Right. However, that is why I think this is a slow news cycle since he's not talking. He's not there to rebut nor will he give any of this credence anyways. So it makes for an easy target. Right. Secondly, not only was it a slow week, but you have to remember it also is CM Punk. This still stands the testament to how much Punk has drawing power. When people don't think he has drawing power, or you hear somebody like downplay it, the man is sitting at home currently. He's still under contract. He's never given an inkling to anybody that he's not happy, but he's sitting at home. And because he hasn't been around, as once again, both of you alluded to, now we got to get him in the story again. Everybody wants him in the story. Everybody needs him in the story. So how do we do that? We start making up stuff. And it's funny because we've always said in 607 TWS, you can go back in history when this show originally started, like almost 5 years ago, and you will start to see, or actually almost 6 years ago. Wow, we're getting old, Ken.
It's something up
Then
there.
we're getting old. But anyways, you'll see a pattern of people taking stories and making them up, and it's almost as funny because in this world of being a work and being a gimmick, the journalists have almost become a work and a gimmick. and they work themselves into a shoot, and they work themselves into believing it, and they work themselves into everything else, and then they work the entire community into a shoot and stuff. And it worked on a lot of levels for them because there's a certain amount of people who love CM Punk and are like, wait a minute, I hope he's not unhappy at WWE marriage, et cetera, et cetera. So it draws them in. There's a certain amount of people, even that are in the WWE fandom, that are like, we don't even like CM Punk, so good riddance. And then there's a certain amount of people that are watching another company who are usually vehemently against CM Punk. So then when Sean Ross Sapp says, when I reached out to AEW and asked them if Punk had burned bridges there and they said never say never, he knew the reaction he was going to get. And very good on him. I'm not saying that it was a bad idea because he was the first person to be like, well, it was an account that is a parody account of mine using better language. Okay. Yeah. And it broke that news that was all bullshit. And I already said it wasn't true, but I might as well ask the question, right? Which is a fair enough question, but it's also going to farm. Because think about it. We got threads of people on every social media platform saying from the AEW fandom, the sickos, if you will, being like, we don't want him back. We can't stand him. Yada, yada, yada. But let me tell you what, call it the personality hits in the building you're in and you're a sicko. I guarantee you're going to forget all that and go out the window. Right. And I'm not saying that's happening if we know that.
He's your biggest heel if he comes back.
Right. But I don't even think that. I think he's going to get a pop. He's going to get a pop of the century and call it a day. But it's not going to happen. I understand that that's not, he's where he is. That's where it is. He has a goal. He has whatever. He's just not being used right now. Now, am I saying that that's a smart move by WWE not to use Mr. Punk? No.
But it could be a situation too, depending on his contract, if he has dates and time frames and all that.
Vacation.
I mean, that's the whole thing about it. Like, we don't know the inner workings of his contract. The only thing we know he's not there, but he's that much of a needle mover that when he's not there, and especially when there is a drought going on, everybody's jumping to conclusions.
Right. Well, I think it puts Punk I think it puts him in a very kind of interesting and strong position if you think about it. He's not there. And the news cycle has picked up on it. And again, a lot of this is BS, but it still brings the point. Roman is there. Seth is back. Cody is there. You have all these name brand names, and yet the product, people are still kind of talking about CM Punk. Wrestling, and think about it, they did for years when he left the first time. Everything, anytime anyone rejected anything, it was CM Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk. And you can kind of see that happening again. So I think it's important for WWE to find a way to kind of make the next CM Punk in a way. Like, again, Punk's not a young guy. And if he's going to be able to control the narrative at times like this, when he's not even there, it's a little scary when your top dog is there. He's showing up every week. You have Seth Rollins back, one of your top guys. Cody Rhodes is there, one of your top guys. And yet the product is still kind of suffering. And it's like, kind of reflects poorly on the company and a little bit on them because these are the top guys.
I don't know. I wouldn't put it on them. I think it just speaks to how stale it's gotten. We've talked about it. Bloodline 5.0 or whatever we're up to now. Nobody really wants it. It's becoming, once again, I know not because of scale or and everybody's in it, but it is becoming like the NWO. Like, hey, we don't have something. Who do we need? We'll just bring back the NWO. Because remember, that's what WCW's answer was for everything. They had everybody in the NWO, then it disbanded, and then, oh man, we need something new. Oh, NWO. Oh, we need some. Oh man, they disband. Oh, we need some new NWO, and you just keep going back to it, and that's what they're doing now. Oh, Bloodline. Oh, we're gonna go back to the Bloodline. You know what? Let's go back to the Bloodline. And I think fans are just like, it's stale. I think it has more. It has less to do with not liking Roman Reigns and more of like, can we just get a better story? Same thing with QB1. You talk about Cody Rhodes. We just said it. Lackluster title reigns. Is that necessarily his fault? No, because when he's wrestling, the crowd is still into him. The crowd's still into when he comes out. He's just not being given storylines that anybody gives a damn about. I would say he doesn't have a storyline, period.
Yeah.
Then you switch over to like Seth Rollins, another situation there. Like the stuff with the Vision, nobody cares about. Like you would be better off to just run Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns at this point and you would get a better reaction because the two of them would make magic without the excuse me, Sans bloodline and also Sans vision or any of that stuff. You don't need any of that. Think about the magic they made before.
Mhm.
I mean, granted, Roman was in the bloodline, but remember,
still.
he came out to the Seth came out to the Shield music, did the whole fist thing. Almost, by the way, didn't lose that match. We always pointed that out.
Mhm.
He won the match by disqualification. Out of that whole Roman run until he lost to Cody, he only had one other blemish, and that was the Seth Rollins via disqualification because he played mind games with him. So you could always go back to that well, and and once again, it's happened before, but it's not as stale. But they're not doing that. And as much as I think Braun Breaker is a player in the future, I don't think the crowd is necessarily sold on him. Now, who is the crowd sold on? Obafemi.
Yes.
Who is the crowd sold on? Trick Williams. Who is the crowd sold on in a heel capacity? Ethan Page. Who is the crowd sold on? Like, there is people. LA Knight still, which I've always said should get off the pot, and they still haven't done either, right? But my point of the matter is there's all these other things out there that if they did would be interesting. But because of that creative bankruptcy that we talk about, everything feels stale. So I don't think that the stars themselves are to blame. And the reason why is because they're still getting the reactions. Think about it. You look at the arena when Roman comes out and everybody's got the ones up.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting the reaction. That's his job. Seth Rollins comes out. They're singing the song loudly. He's doing his job. Cody Rhodes comes out. We're getting the whoa, and it's loud. They're doing their jobs. The problem is after they get in the ring, the crowd's like, this is something we've already seen and we don't want to see it again. And
there's been
pieces.
There's been a louder, contingent of people really commenting on the state of WWE. I think it was Bubba Ray this week said it was boring, just straight up said boring. Ariel Helwani said soulless.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these are very strong words, and when you don't have to really think too hard if you're someone who watches the product often enough to go, you're kind of right.
I'd agree with both of those statements. Honestly, I would, and that goes to what I'm saying. But the weird part about that is, a lot of people will go and instantly blame the performer. Mm. And like I said, I don't blame the performer only because I'm still seeing and hearing the reaction. They're getting the reactions that they're supposed to get, in spite of the fact that then when the match starts, and it's not even the in-ring stuff because people are fine with that. It's just the storyline around it. Nobody cares about.
Yeah,
it is soulless. It feels like it's just another, hey, let's smooth the machine, when you could have some interesting things. And I think, once again, to your point, Sammy, that is where the legend of CM Punk. CM Punk is like the Robin Hood of pro wrestling. If you think about it, he is the people's. And I'm going to borrow.
He's the true people's champion.
He's the people's champion, and that's why people chant his name angrily at people when they're upset with products. Why? Because he is what he says he is. He's the voice of the voiceless. Mm-hmm. So everybody comes out there and they chant for him. And even if he's having a lackluster run because of creative, he can still find a way to make it better. And that's what people are looking for right now. We need to get away from what they're doing and move into something better. And unfortunately, the guys that can change that direction are all either injured or on vacation. Because the other guys that we know possibly will be back for SummerSlam are Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. And those guys also, like Punk, have this ability to take chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad. Mm-hmm. And that's in spite of the bullshit that's happening behind the scenes in creative.
I'd put Kevin Owens on that list as well. Someone else.
Well, yeah, but we don't know when he's coming back, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like we have a legitimate time frame on Orton and McIntyre. And yeah, I would put Kevin Owens on that list as well. Absolutely all day. I was just going with those two because we have what appears to be a time frame of return. Yeah. And Kevin, once he comes back, Kevin Owens in a lot of ways is the next coming of CM Punk in that voice of the voiceless category, honestly, because he was the guy that everybody got behind after there was no Punk.
Well, that's the whole thing. When you have somebody that gets over organically, as Owens has, and especially in that role where the audience connects with him, everybody's on bated breath to see. And especially right now, they need something to really inject some life into the brand, because right now it's very, very stale.
I mean, the company has the easy answer. You just strap the rocket to Obafemi and call it a day, and that'll at least build you excitement for a while. I'm not saying that's your answer overall.
It's a short-term one, yeah.
But your goal, you could turn him into Goldberg.
Mm-hmm.
Start, we already have kind of the start of it. Build into SummerSlam, him and Lesnar again one last time. Lesnar's retirement match, the real retirement match this time, puts over the kid tremendously well. And then I say you smash him right for the world title. I would even say give him the belt at Survivor Series. Just have him go smash it. Boom. And I would even go as far as remember when Goldberg beat Hogan for the title? That wasn't a long match. It wasn't quite a squash, but it wasn't a long match.
Right.
Can you imagine you pull that off against Roman?
No, I mean, that's the whole thing too. And especially with what I was saying about this is a short-term fix. Ova's going to be champion and a star for years to come.
Yeah.
But just for something right now to really, give him the belt and let him go with it. Yeah, that's a quick fix. But that's what they should be doing because of how he's getting over, not just with the wrestling audience, but with the pop culture audience too. Yeah. That's such a key factor. And he's there.
Yeah, you're seeing it on social media. You're seeing it in videos. You're seeing the Oba walk. You're seeing kids do the Oba walk coming to school and graduations and such. It's over. It's a very he's over. His gimmick is over. And there's other guys. And once again, you should shoot that injection of those guys and their stuff. And once again, we'll see who's going to sink or swim.
Oh yeah.
The only way we're going to find out if guys are going to get over is if you sink or swim. And right now, there's loud, contingencies. And I'm saying Obafemi is the right answer to kind of get excitement to the base. And then from there, you can move in guys like Trick Williams and Ethan Page and et cetera, and get this influx. I mean, hell, use LA Knight. It's easy. Have LA Knight turn heel on Cody Rhodes and take the belt. Just give it to him. Why not? What's the worst that happens? It doesn't work and it goes back to Cody.
Goes back to Cody. You did that earlier this year with McIntyre. Just do it again. Whatever.
Right, exactly. There's no harm, no foul in it.
It's been a very interesting year for WWE this year, and there's been a lot of negative reactions and a lot of negative press, and WWE has not done enough to really curb that. It started off with the booking leading up to WrestleMania. WrestleMania, their biggest show of the year, did not feel special this year. Then you had the releases, and now you just continue to have this lackluster storytelling. And there is as we've all highlighted, there is some bright spots there. But WWE, you gotta really, I mean, AEW is very hot right now. They are doing a lot of fun stuff there. Are they perfect? No wrestling company ever is, but they're moving into their biggest show of the year, and they are firing on all cylinders. And WWE's sputtering a little bit.
I was going to say there's a perfect because we're going to segue into talking about AEW here in a second. But that's important to think. It's not that wrestling is down. AEW is doing fine. Like they are as hot as they've been since the pandemic. I think we could all agree on
without
that.
question.
Yep.
And they're hitting on all cylinders. And listen, kudos. And I've said it before because we call it right down the middle. I've been very judgmental in the past about Tony Khan and how he does things. But it seems like as this goes on, Tony Khan is getting better at this job. And I'm not just talking about booking. I'm talking about just being a businessman. I mean, we kind of got to see that in the Ariel Helwani interview that he just did not that long ago. Obviously the infamous one where he wouldn't answer questions and it led to like a beef between him and Ariel. To now he goes in there and he answered every question and he answered them honestly. He answered, in my opinion, honestly, maybe he was bullshitting a little bit, but I think he was being honest.
I think he was more genuine about it.
He sounded like he was honest. Yeah. He even said about the Punk situation. He got right into it. Like, hey, should I have handled it differently? Yes. Not only on your show, but in general, I should. Would Tony Khan of 2026 handle that situation differently? Absolutely. I wouldn't have done the same things that I did then. And that's all I need to hear from him. Hey, yeah. Was I right? Was I wrong? We can let history decide that, right? Each individual will decide whether what I did was right or wrong. However, if you're asking me now, I would definitely have done it differently. And that means, hey, I've gone back in my head. And that doesn't mean he might not have fired Punk. That doesn't mean he might not have we would have still had the same outcome. It just means he would have handled it differently. And maybe wouldn't have let it get into that level. Because remember, my biggest judgment about him was that he sat there at the table when Punk cut that original promo at Brawl Out with, saying I work with children and everything. And he basically co-signed everything because he didn't stop him. Sitting right next to him. That was why I said he shouldn't be in press scrums next to the talent. Because if things happen and you're sitting there, it looks like you co-signed it.
Yep.
And yeah, he gulped a couple times because I felt like he knew that this was not going to be anything good. And that Brawl Out situation is what led to everything else. Let's be honest. If we don't have Brawl Out, we don't end up with the Jack Perry situation later on. And because that's the only reason that happened.
Well,
and tainted your big moment.
If you look back on it now, who really benefited the most from it? Tony Khan and CM Punk.
No, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. But once again, there was a lot of eating some poo-poo
Yep.
for Tony Khan for a while, and justifiably so, because then you handed over the biggest star in wrestling to your competition, and then to your answer to that was the show video footage of the exact thing that CM Punk told Ariel Helwani what happened, literally just confirming CM Punk's story.
Yeah.
It would have been different if that video showed that he was crazed and he grabbed a hold of you and he tried to kill you. It didn't show that. It showed that, there was a tussle at best. I think the biggest thing he did, he said he threw a punch at, even Punk said he threw a punch at him. There was no punches thrown that I could see in that video. He put him in a front face lock. And then he goes for putting Jack Perry in a front face lock. They split it up and he basically bumps into the table while yelling at Tony Khan, but he feared for his life.
Yeah.
Like like when you say those
Malachi
things,
Black's just in there drinking coffee. No big deal.
he didn't even jump. Like Samoa Joe walks down CM Punk like, come on. Like, and mind you, they're friends, obviously, really good friends. But like, it's like your boy would walk you down, like, calm down, let's go. Let's just go this way. If your life was on the line, Samoa Joe wouldn't have been able to walk him down. He would have had to drag him out, and he didn't. He walked him down.
And Joe could.
Oh yeah, Joe could definitely. I mean, Joe basically throws Jack Perry to the side and then walks down Punk. I mean, if Joe had to restrain CM Punk, are we really believing he couldn't? Like, come on, guys. But
not to go too far into the weeds here, but fun fact: those guys had a killer match too.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
After that happened.
Yeah, right after.
Killer match. The chemistry between those two, and they've had classics.
Yeah.
Like that was just another one in the grouping of matches they've always had, giving them credit. But yeah, I think there's a lot of growth, and that's the end of that's the story here when you go into it. WWE is still on a slide down, whether that's because of the parent company more concerned about spending taxpayer dollars for an event that they shouldn't even be throwing than the actual product, while charging asshole amounts of money for tickets that people can't afford in the hard economic times, or just and on top of that, doing that while being creatively bankrupt. Like, they're not exciting anybody to show up to pay for those tickets, in my opinion. On the other hand, AEW has really found their own in making cheaper tickets, going to smaller venues to afford the cheaper tickets, and bringing the fans in and rallying a base and getting actually new eyes on their product. And that's really the thing. All you have to do is look at the tail of the tape. And that is what, when AEW started up as the challenger brand, that is what they had going for them, and they fell away from that. They tried to be too much competition instead of the challenger brand. And when you become competition, you become similar to your competition. And that was the problem. Now they have set themselves apart once again as the challenger brand. And I think that that's the lane that they need to stay in.
Yeah.
And it looks like, by all indications, at least at this point, they're staying in it. Does it mean they're doing everything perfectly? Absolutely not. But remember, this is only a company that's been around for 7 years now.
Give take, yeah.
2019. So,
right. Look at TNA. They've been around 20 years and they still ain't doing it all.
Still making the mistakes. Still making the mistakes. And I mean, we're coming up on Super Sunday pretty quickly.
Yeah.
By the way, for those of you who don't know Super Sunday, that day we officially have a crap ton, 3 shows. So we have a Triple A is doing Triple Mania.
Oh, yeah.
That's the night before. The night before.
NXT.
And then the same day we have TNA or NXT, TNA, AEW in that order, I do believe, because AEW and TNA are kind of overlapping, and NXT is going during the afternoon, if I remember correctly.
It's Great American Bash, right?
The Great American Bash.
Yeah.
So Super Sunday is coming up. We'll be talking about that when we get closer. Obviously, that's a couple weeks off, but yeah. Right now, though, we'll talk about, we're building towards Forbidden Door. So we're going to talk about that. But before, we're going to actually just head on what's going on, because this is a big thing for Forbidden Door and also a big thing for AEW All In coming up. And that is the Owen Hart Foundation Cup. And guess what? Oh, man. We've got some interesting ones. So I'm just going to not focus on the women's one right now, because this upcoming Wednesday is the semifinals for the women. So we are going to have Athena taking on Maya World, with Maya World giving a huge upset over Sky Blue, by the way. And then we're going to have Hazuki taking on Mercedes Moné. I'm presuming our finals are going to be Mercedes Moné versus the forever champ Athena, which happened the first round last year.
Yeah.
And is now happening would be the main event spot for Forbidden Door this year. That's my guesses. Real quick, would you like to elaborate? Or do you think that's right? Or what do you think?
I think it's right. And I think if they're smart with their booking, you got to put Athena over at this point.
Ooh, you think she's going all the way?
Has to. I mean, I understand with Monet, sure, but with what Athena has been doing in Ring of Honor all this time, it's now or never for her. That if you're going to make that breakthrough on the AEW roster, this is the moment to do it. And sure, Mercedes, everybody's predicting is going to go there. And yeah, would she have a great match against Tekla? Yeah, either of them would. You know, honestly, I would not mind if this was a triple threat, to be honest with you.
I dig that.
Because I think that would make more sense. But if you have to have a winner, because it is the tourney, why not go with Athena? Throw everything off, and then you could have Monet sneak in there somehow. But I think this has to be Athena's moment to win.
I kind of like where you're going with that, Sammy.
It's Mercedes Monet. It's Mercedes Monet and Tekla. I mean, come on, you're going into the biggest show of the year. You need the biggest marquee of the year, and we might not be able to predict who's actually going to walk away from that match, but I think it's pretty clear who's going to be going into that match. And you want the star power, you want the in-ring talent. Those are two people that are absolutely phenomenal in the ring. That's not a slight on Athena, but let's be honest, they've never pushed her. They've just never pushed her. She's the forever champion in Ring of Honor, and it's not going to be now.
Well, that's why I say, like, this would be a nice way to throw a curveball in the mix. But no, I agree with you. She hasn't been properly pushed, in my opinion.
To your point, I agree with you, and I agree that they should do so. Much like LA Knight, I've said that for a long time. If this was last year and we were doing all in Texas again, I would 110%, because then she's Texas. She's a Texas wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they get behind her. They put her on the card last minute last year, and everybody went nuts about it. Phenomenal. You're doing this in Wembley. You're trying to beat your own record in Wembley. I think you have to go with the marquee. And that's why I think that when Willow Nightingale, who would have been the winner, in my opinion, when she went down with the injury, you had to go, and I'm assuming this is what happened. You're like, hey, Mercedes, I don't know if you were coming back to work, but we kind of need you to come back to work.
Mm.
And I'm sure that we'll unload the Brinks truck if we have to, but you don't do that and get her to come back to lose the tournament. You get her to come back so she can salvage the women's main event of All In, and that's Tekla versus Mercedes Moné, because that's a dream match. Nothing against Athena. I think Athena would have a tremendous match with Tekla, but I'm thinking marquee. Tekla has made a name for herself. She deserves to be on the marquee. And the only name that they have that's not injured currently, who also deserves to be on the marquee, and that you could even argue could go on last, is Mercedes Moné. Mm. And I think that's why. I don't think it's a slight against Athena. If we were getting a shot on Dynamite, I shouldn't say Dynamite. That's if we were getting a shot at any other pay-per-view that wasn't All In and not at Wembley, then absolutely pull the trigger on Athena. Mm. But I think I think after the Willow Nightingale injury, you kind of booked yourself into a corner, which is fine. Because think about it, this was probably going to be the feel-good moment for Willow, who has definitely earned it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, easily.
Definitely earned it. So Willow versus Tekla would have sold the fans, because we've watched Willow grow. We've watched Willow become pretty much the franchise of the women's division in AEW, and there's nothing wrong with that, because she's tremendous. And then you would go up against somebody who has proven themselves in Tekla. And that was, I think, the idea. So now that you have to go away from that because of injury, Mercedes is the next bet. That's what I'm saying there. But we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, next week, we're going to see who makes the finals for Forbidden Door. But we do have the men's finals, because the semifinals went down this past week, and Swerve Strickland would defeat Brody King, and Will Ospreay would defeat Mark Davis. Surprise to nobody that at Forbidden Door, we're getting Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland to determine who's going on to Wembley Stadium to challenge, well, presumably at this point in juncture, MJF for the AEW World's Heavyweight Championship. Even though this was predictable, this is still the right call, right? Sammy, your choice. What are you thinking?
This is definitely the right call. And oh boy, we got a couple of banger matchups out of it, and we got a couple more to go through. Swerve versus Ospreay.
I'm with you there, Ken.
I mean, it's only going to go one way. So, I mean, honestly, but this is going to be a hell of a match when they go through this. I'd love to see Swerve go over, but no, this is Ospreay's story, which all leads to Wembley. But I'm still saying the Moxley turn will happen on him somewhere in between.
I can dig it. I can definitely dig it. I like it. I actually, I don't even know if it's going to be a turn. I think that you're going to, in between Forbidden Door and that, it'll be like the final test. Like, it's not even about like a turn. It's just going to be John Moxley saying, hey, listen, you are almost there. You've shown that you've picked up the things, but you still have to have that killer instinct. And if you can't have that killer instinct against me, who you have respect for because I've taught you all of this, then you're never going to beat MJF. And so he's going to put Will Ospreay in a position to maybe even hurt Jon Moxley.
Mm-hmm.
And not out of spite, but out of, hey, if you can't finish me off, then how are you going to get past this guy who will literally do anything to continue to be champion? And that's a positive note for one MJF.
Mm-hmm.
That is the selling point of his championship reigns, is that he will do anything to keep that belt, anything to keep that power. And to beat him, you have to be able to give up everything because he's willing to do that. So I think that they've done a really good job of that fundamental story. Where I don't know if they've done a great job is what we're going to be getting at Forbidden Door. So Forbidden Door is being built up. We know right now we got Ospreay, Swerve Strickland. That is a main event quality match anywhere in the world. I'm assuming either way you go, whether it's Athena, either way we go, it's going to be Athena versus Mercedes. Main event
Correct.
level match anywhere in the world. We'll talk about another main event match because I want to end on a positive. But I want to talk about the one thing that AEW is still doing that drives me insane at times is these cluster beeps.
Mm-hmm.
And we got that announcement this week.
Yeah.
There's going to be a steel cage of 6 on 6?
6 on 6.
So a 12-man steel cage match. And what's on the line in this match? This is how silly this is to me. Literally what's on the line is if Mark Briscoe's team wins, he gets an AEW World Championship match. Yes, we are at a pay-per-view having a 6-man steel cage match. And right now, Mark Briscoe will have 5 other tag team partners. Nobody's announced yet.
Right, but...
And MJF has enlisted by payment of the Don Callis family. We do know Kevin Knight is for sure going to be in the match. So Kevin Knight and 4 other members of the Don Callis family, which there's 11 other members of the Don Callis family. There's 13 other members of the Don Callis family.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 of those 13 are going to be in this match.
Right.
And this is not blood and guts, correct?
Not
as of yet.
Not as of yet. That could change. It just says steel cage match.
Yes.
That is all that's been announced. But here's the thing. Why are the stakes? Literally, Mark Briscoe's team wins. He gets an AEW World Championship match.
Why is it Mark that gets the world championship?
Right. Why isn't it whoever wins the match? Because that would be interesting. Because even on the other side, on the Callis side, that's where you could enter in like Andrade being on that team, who we know wants the belt. That makes it interesting now. So now everybody's trying to win this match to get a shot. But when it's just, if Mark Briscoe's team wins, and then there's no punishment for Mark Briscoe's team not winning unless they change it. So literally we're having this whole match to see if Mark Briscoe can get it, make it make sense, Ken.
I can't. I straight up can't, because this is just a filler feud to get to Wembley, which is fine. I'm not mad about that. But this is a lot of bells and whistles to get to where we need to go. And just for a quick stop on the way to Wembley, it's a lot. I mean, it's going to be an entertaining match no matter what, because you're going to have the whole conglomeration is going to be in there. And then whatever you get from the Don Callis family of the 35 people that are a part of that, they're just going to probably pick names out of a hat and come in the ring. It'll serve its purpose for what it is, but then he's going to win it. Then what? He's going to get the match on Dynamite? Because, I mean, it's not going to be for Wembley, so they're going to have to kind of squeeze that in somewhere. And granted, they'll have a hell of a match, but it's going to get overshadowed knowing where we're going with Wembley.
And there's a possibility you end up with kind of the jobber squad for the steel cage match.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the Protostar is going to be in the match. Because I mean, he might, but that's a waste of him being on the card.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would put Kyle Fletcher as much as I'm critical of him, he's still a very good talent and his top spot. I'd put him in a different situation. Like, he should be focused. You should put, if you're going to put, because we're going to talk about another match across promotion. Because remember, there's cross promotional matches.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Right.
AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and CMLL, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm booking the show from across the board, I'm putting the Protostar in there against somebody from either CMLL or New Japan to take advantage of that star power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's that. So I wouldn't be putting him in this match. Granted, they can make the mistake and do it. I do think Okada is going to make it in this match because that's the way that Takeshita makes it in this match.
Do you guys think this is a bit of a makeup for the last pay-per-view with stadium stampede, not being able to really do what they want to do. So it's like, yeah, let's make it up next time at the next pay-per-view, and we'll do
Yes
something
and no.
really, really
Yeah.
over the top.
I agree with you.
Yes and no. I think you're right. I think that that's the reason they're doing this, but I think it's a bad reason. Does that make sense? I think that we don't.
there's two reasons. One, that, and number two, it's like, well, we can get 12 guys on the pay-per-view all in one match versus some of the other ways they try and do it. Because again, they stuff their cards.
So I would have done things differently. You're doing this big crossover event. And I think that the nice part about Forbidden Door in the past is we got some matchups. Like, let's just let the cat out of the bag. The one match that got announced this past week that's going to be phenomenal is Kenny Omega versus Zack Sabre Jr. There you go.
Yes.
Two top wrestlers in the world. You know, Kenny has a rich history in New Japan, but he's the AEW guy. He's the AEW vice president. And he's going up against Zack Sabre Jr., who, let's be honest, has done a lot more things that Kenny Omega couldn't do. I.e., he is still the only Gaijin who has won a main event match at Wrestle Kingdom. Not Kenny Omega, but Zack Sabre Jr. So there is some story built in, and it also works out. Here's the problem, though. I would like to see more of that. Because even if it's a rematch, so like, and I think this will happen in the cage, and that's why I'm not a fan of this, because I don't think it happens this personally, and I don't think it matters as much. I would have loved to see Takeshita and Okada run it back for the title at Forbidden Door, just one-on-one, and have Kyle Fletcher inadvertently cost Okada the match, which now gives seeds between them. So when you go to Wembley, you could have Takeshita versus Okada versus Kyle Fletcher for that belt. That's how you up the stakes and you make a bigger match. You could possibly get that in this cage match, right? But I don't think it works as well as that one-on-one atmosphere. And then that's also giving up the fact that Kyle Fletcher could get a match against, like I said, insert top CMLL star, like a Mystico. I know he's in AEW as well, but he's also CMLL.
Sure.
Throw in Mystico. I know we've seen him wrestle before, but this would be a big spot for him. Throw in New Japan. There's a ton of talent in New Japan I'd like to see the Protostar go against. Not that he hasn't wrestled in New Japan already.
Right, but
the point of the matter is
it would feel refreshed.
Could you imagine you throw him in there against the IWGP heavyweight champion being Colin Newman? They have history.
Yeah.
They were both members of the United Empire. They're both, basically proteges of Will Ospreay. So like you could have really had a great match. Throwing the belt on the line if you wanted. Because I could believe that Kyle Fletcher's getting a shot at the IWGP heavyweight title. Not saying he'd win. But that'd be a good way to build the story up.
Oh, sure.
Maybe even a good way to build even further into the story of Will Ospreay and Callum Newman, because that's going on in the background as well. So, like, you have all these things that you could actually technically pull the trigger on, but instead we're going to get this cluster F of a cage match. And like I said, I'm more excited about hearing Kenny Omega versus Zack Sabre Jr. You're talking about two of the very best wrestlers in the world and have been for a while, and they're going to get to go out there on a huge stage as a Forbidden Door and put on some work. And I'm all for it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we're not focusing more on that, especially, like I said, the Owen Hart Cup finals, both of them are like I said, I'm assuming it's going to be Athena versus Mercedes Moné. And we know it's Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland. Both of those are main event quality matches. Omega and Zack Sabre Jr., main event quality match. This steel cage match feels way lackluster compared. Way lackluster. It's my only takeaway. Any other thoughts that you guys, the man and lady have of the event, how they're booking Forbidden Door so far?
Honestly, I mean, Forbidden Door is a fun show, but it's not a huge needle mover. I mean, I think with how the Forbidden Door is, and there's a lot of moving parts involved, I think it's fun to cap off the Owen there. That'll be great. And I mean, Omega and Zack Sabre Jr. will be fun. But other than that, I mean, it is what it is. It'll be a solid show, but I'm not like, yeah.
Sammy.
I think I'm almost ready for the Forbidden Door to just be closed for a little while. I think it's kind of run its course, and it's been a big thing in AEW and WWE. To their credit, they did it really well with TNA as well. But I think we've seen it enough where I don't think we're just as a group, not just us three. We're a bunch of sickos. We love everything, but I think on the whole, I don't think everyone's as invested in it as they were a handful of years ago, and that's okay. That's okay. Things do run their course, and sometimes they need to go away. like CM Punk, for them to come back and for you to love them even more.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm with you for one reason, but it's not kind of the same. I love the idea of the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, if you will, having other people involved. I would love for that Forbidden Door pay-per-view to be expanded someday.
Mhm.
Like, obviously, we would all dream book if WWE would come to the table and do business, because then you would add in AAA, you would add in WWE, you would add in a whole nother talent pool, right?
Oh yeah.
And you could do some really cool things if we have basically that Olympic Games, for lack of a better term, of pro wrestling, you know, with all the great companies putting all their stuff aside for one night and booking some dream matches every year, once a year. The problem with the Forbidden Door, though, Sammy, that I'm going to say, and this is why the pay-per-view doesn't matter as much, is we're getting these matches all the time. Like AEW is booking CMLL talent and New Japan talent all the time. We just saw the United Empire on TV not that long ago, getting the back of Will Ospreay before he joined the Death Riders, right? Remember that? Like that happened against the Death Riders, ironically enough. We've seen, the CMLL stars, as we pointed out, their champion for a while was Claudio Castagnoli, who's an AEW member. Mystico has got an AEW contract as well. Takeshita is in New Japan and DDT and AEW. Like, so a lot of their talent is already crossing over all the time. And we're seeing this even with a Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kenny Omega, which feels fresh. We still see Zack Sabre Jr. in AEW a few times a year. Like, if we weren't seeing him a few times a year, only once a year there, unless he comes to AEW full time, that would be more impressive and important. The same thing is like when we bring over Ishii or whoever else is going to come over for the show. We're seeing that. I think we're just seeing them too much. There's a little bit of an overexposure to call this a true Forbidden Door event that we're getting. Like, it should be treated like that World Cup. Yeah. Like, since that's in, I should have said the Olympics earlier, but the World Cup is what's in the talk right now. This should be like the World Cup of wrestling. And one day, maybe we can get all of the companies. But I feel like when they're crossing over all the time, it don't feel special anymore. Yeah. It just feels like a normal show. Because think about it. We've had pay-per-views with New Japan people on them for AEW. We've had, CMLL wrestlers on them. We've had their titles defended on pay-per-views, like regular pay-per-views. So why is Forbidden Door special? And on paper right now, you don't have a mixture right now. Right now, you have Athena versus Mercedes Moné, potentially. Yeah. Same potentially, probably. And you have both AEW talents. I understand Athena's in Ring of Honor. It's still AEW. That's like saying WWE and NXT are separate. They're not really. Yes, they run two different things, but they're the same company. And the same thing goes for the men. The men's one's even worse. Like, not saying anything bad, because I love the match. I think it's going to be a tremendous match, but you got Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland, two AEW guys. And then you have the steel cage match, which is probably going to be mostly AEW guys. Maybe they'll throw somebody else in there from somewhere else just to spice it up a tad. So really, out of the four matches you have so far, the only one that is kind of Forbidden Door-ish is Omega versus Zack Sabre Jr. Yeah. And I'm sure that they'll fill it out a little more than that. But, when your top matches right now are all just based around AEW, this is just an AEW pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah, no, completely. I think the luster is gone.
They're doing the Salt Bay, sprinkle in some other stuff to our pay-per-view.
I mean, the only thing is, depending on when WWE releases, where if the New Day was going to show up. Like, that might be something.
That's Wembley, buddy.
Yeah, but that's the whole
maybe
thing.
Before Wembley.
Right, just to tease that they're there, like signing, and you can do something like that.
I think if I'm Tony Khan right now, that 4-way tables, ladders, and chairs.
Oh, yeah, you put Wembley, them in there.
That's money. That is literally, you want to put 100,000 people in Wembley? There you go. Not just that match. Other, we're going to hit Ospreay versus MJF more than likely, right? So there's going to be a lot that brings people in. But think about it. If I told you we were going to see the New Day versus the Young Bucks versus the FTR versus, Cage and Cope in a tables, ladders, and chair match, that's going to put some asses in seats.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also going to bring back tag team wrestling in a big, bad way. So I think that's a no-brainer. I don't care how much money you have to offer them. I don't care if they only want to sign for one match. Just make it happen.
Makes it easy. They don't have to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're in Wembley, like, throw it all at the wall. And I think that's what's going to happen, quite frankly. I don't think that's not a rumor. That's a spoiler, as Paul Heyman would say.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And I think they're going to have a good run there. But yeah, I just think to your point, Sammy, I understand what you're saying. And I think that's really what it is that they're just running the same playbook. and it's fine. But how about next year? What we focus on is just trying to make it like that World Cup or, version where we get people that we haven't seen and we get matchups we haven't seen. You can have, I don't think you should. I think everybody, with the exception of the Owen, because the Owen is the Owen, and that's always where the final is going to be, right? So that's fine. That can square up. But I think every other match on the card should be cross promotional.
Yeah,
every match, and hell, put some champion versus champion matches on there without the belts on the line. Why don't you have the IWGP World Champion against the AEW World Champion?
That's true.
Why don't you have the CMLL champion against the Continental champion?
It's because it's MJF and it doesn't work for him, brother.
I get that, but my point is, like, those are things that you should think of, though, because it's not always going to be MJF.
No, I know.
Like, let's think about it. Let's think about this realistically. If things went to go a little differently, it could have been Will Ospreay versus Colin Newman for the belt.
Yeah, which
do you think?
Amazing.
Do you think that's why AEW has so many belts? That way they could do it that way one day. Sorry.
And now here's the thing, that would make sense.
Yeah.
And I would be all for that at that point. Because I'm like, maybe it works, because then every champion can match up with another champion. But that's not what they're doing.
Yeah.
I forgot Stardom's also on the card. So that's easy. Put the Stardom champion against that's actually interesting this year. Stardom champion versus the AEW champion. Because Tekla got her ass fired from Stardom.
Yeah.
I didn't get fired in Japan. Well, I got fired from Japan.
I got fired from Japan.
I love Tekla. I really do.
We're having fun.
Listen, that's why I said it's not that this show is going to be bad. I think the show is going to be very good. I just think that the reason we're upset with the name Forbidden Door is because it just gets – the Forbidden Door has been opened and closed so much that thing is off the hooks. The hinges are busted. The door is loose. It's kind of just flapping in the wind. I think we need to close the door, tighten up the hinges, and like build to something. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think that's going to do it for this week's edition of 6 to 7 TWS, the wrestling show. And of course, if you want more great action from Fanlight Zone, you can head on over to fanlightzone.com. While you're there, make sure you get all the links to follow us on the social medias, because you're not going to want to miss when we're putting things out. During wrestling, Ken does live tweet sometimes during wrestling, or well, I shouldn't say tweet anymore. Live post across the board.
Yeah,
it's not just on X.
On every single FLZ platform, I'm talking with everybody on it. So you want to talk some pro wrestling during the live shows? I'm right there.
There you go. And of course, you want to make sure if you're watching us anywhere that's not the FLZ YouTube channel, that's awesome. That's great. Make sure you're following us there. But then head on over to the FLZ YouTube channel. If you're already there and you haven't done this already, it makes it a little easier, because you're going to smash that subscribe button, click the bell icon for notifications so you know whenever we go live or whenever a new video is put up. And last but certainly not least, hit that thumbs up to help us win the fight, win the battle royal with the algorithm, and take us to the next level, brother. With that being said, though, thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back next week at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, as we are each and every week, to talk more pro wrestling. But until then, for myself, for Miss Sammy, for Ken M, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and most importantly, later, wrestling fans.